So it's a bit of a strange setting. We're redoing the bathroom, so I'm painting and doing things, and I'm waiting for it to dry. And I've been meaning to record a video to talk about solar panels. And the reason I wanted to do that is because where we live, so we live in Birmingham in England, and I found when we were looking into solar panels, I find it really hard to work out how much money it was actually going to save us, because the only person I found in the UK was in different areas from where we live, and the weather is probably different because they're closer to the coast and stuff like that. So I thought it would be useful for someone living in our area, so the West Midlands, to kind of know what kind of consumption, electricity generation we get, and how much we sell back to the grid, and how much we're planning to save and stuff like that. So I'll probably record that video a bit like a vlog, like in a few parts, because I need to get onto the computer and I need to get actual numbers so that it actually speaks to you. But I think, and what I hope, it'll be really helpful to know, for some people to work out, is it really worth it? And for us, I think it is worth it, because it wasn't just about money, it was also about environment. But I know for a lot of people it's a lot about money, obviously, because it costs a lot to get solar panels. And yeah, I hope that it will give you a bit more of an idea of, you know, what you can get, how much you can save, how much it costs, etc., etc. So yeah. Hi there. So following up from the previous video, which was yesterday, and yeah, I have a lot of plants in the background. No, sorry, that way, because it's really hot in the UK. Today is the 8th of July and it's really, really hot, and all my plants in the living room are like, give us some water, please. So I had a quick look for the invoice I have for the solar panel. So as I said, we live in the West Midlands, Birmingham. We have a south-facing garden, south-facing roof as well, obviously. And it's kind of like, it's not a very pointy roof, it's kind of slanted. I think it was 22-degree angle, so I think the minimum was 18 degrees, so ours is pretty much as flat as a roof goes. It's not a flat roof, but for an angled roof, is as flat as it goes. So we have 12 solar panels of 340 watts, a Solis inverter, I don't remember the brand for the panels. We have an optimizer, and we have bird deterrents, because we heard horror stories where people had the panels removed because birds would go and make the house under it. So we asked for a bird, like, it's basically a mesh, and it stops birds from living in that, and that's great. And also I don't want to hear creaky when I'm in bed, so that's good. So that worked out for the panels, the optimizer, the inverter, and the bird deterrent. It was £3,166 plus 20% VAT. And then the installation cost £1,375, but that has 0% VAT, so that's what I split it. And we booked that. We didn't really have any problems. I can't remember if there was any problems of supply, because there's a lot of people asking for solar panels. I think it was okay, because no, actually there were some problems, because by the time our installer placed the order, a lot of panels had gone. But anyway, he found it, so that's fine. What I haven't included in there is the scaffolding. So for us it was about £375. But it depends where you live, it depends how much scaffolders in your area charge, so yeah. But for Birmingham, that's what it cost. And I will do another bit of video where I will show you kind of how much we generate, how much we export, and why we decided to get a battery. But the reason why we decided to get a battery is basically we noticed that we send back to the grid well more than we use, if that makes sense. So between, let's say, 8 and 7, particularly now where the days are really long, between 8 and 7 roughly, we use solar panels, unless I run the dryer and the washing machine at the same time, for example. But you have to kind of learn new habits. You need to do your washing machine, and then later your dishwasher, and then later your dryer. Try not to put too many things at once, obviously it will take more juice. So we realized that in the daytime we use the energy we generate, which is great, but then in the evening we get a fairly big TV, and we have 2 kids, and everybody has their own device, and even if I turn the lights off in every room when we get out, they still, like, we use at least, I'm going to say 5 kilowatts in average in the evening. in average. And I found it really frustrating because as soon as we started exporting, I realized how much electricity we were sending back to the grid. And if I send back 17 kilowatt a day, I don't want to buy 5 kilowatt in the evening. It's ridiculous. So you have to bear in mind that the cost you sell your electricity for our supplier, so we are with Octopus, it's £7.5p per kilowatt. But when I buy my electricity from Octopus, it's about 28p, so it's almost 4 times more than they pay me. So it really doesn't make sense to not have a battery. So that's where we decided after about, I think, a month and a half. It wasn't that long. I'm looking that way, Chris is here, but about a month and a half, we realized that we needed a battery. Even if in winter we don't generate a huge amount, but at least for the summer, for all this about, let's say, 6 months where the days are fairly long, we could potentially, if the days are not too bad, use only our electricity with the battery, so we'd save there. So although it is an investment, you get your money back somehow, and I can't confirm how much because we've only had the solar panels. I should have started with that. We had the solar panels fitted on 26th of April 2022, so it's been about 2 months and 2 weeks. So we haven't been through a whole cycle. I have no idea how much we're going to generate in winter. We might not generate very much. We might not be able to store very much, but in summer we can definitely save some money. So the cost for the battery is also not negligible. We went with a 5.8 kilowatt battery. So when we looked at it first, when the installer looked at it, there was, different brands and stuff like that. And then everybody decided to have solar panels and everything went. So it was a bit tricky to get it. And there was a month delivery, and he placed the order for us. And then they added another month delivery on top of that. So you have to be mindful that it's not something you're going to get fitted next week, and you have to plan it ahead. So for a 5.8 kilowatt battery, it was £2,685. And there's also an inverter for that as well, and that was £990. The installation is £350. It's faster. My understanding is that it's a lot faster to fit the battery. For the solar panels, it took about 3 days actually. There's a bit more background to our story. I will tell you more in a minute. But long story short, including all VAT, so labor is VAT free, but the product have 20% VAT. In total, it will be £10,271. Bearing in mind that our electricity bill, roughly since the last increase, is about £1,200 a year. So it would take us less than 10 years to get our money back. If we saved all our electricity, which we probably won't, but it might be about 10 years, it might be 12 years. If the electricity goes up again in October, then we'll get our money back a lot faster, and so on. We do have gas at home, so we heat with gas. And for example, the kitchen hob is gas, so if we move to electric, which I want to, we probably would save on that as well, so we wouldn't use as much gas and so on. So you have to think about in a ballpark of 10 grand, and it is a lot of money, but I know not everybody can afford it, and that's perfectly fine, fair enough.
Right, I'm in the garden, there's a bit of noise outside, but I just wanted to show you the solar panel, so I'm gonna try to climb on the trampoline and show you. Okay, so it's aesthetically, sorry, it's perfectly fine. I don't know if you can see the mesh. Can I zoom in? Yeah. You can see the mesh around it, so that's the thing that stops the birds from going in. And the panels look good, and I mean, we haven't cleaned them or anything. I don't think you ever need to clean them. I'm not planning on going on the roof to clean them, so I will not. But yeah, it just gives you an idea. Alright, so yeah, that's kind of, it's solar panels, is it? It's not rocket science. It's not even that exciting to see them on the roof. What I'd say, the exciting part to it is when you actually look at your app and you see how much you generated. So I can't download, there's different app. There's an app for, I think it was the Optimizer. There's an app that tells you how much you generated. And that's where I found it a bit tricky, so I'm going to talk to you about that. It tells you how much you generate, but it doesn't tell you how much you use. And actually, well, maybe there's a way, but if there is, I don't know what it is. I haven't found a place where it says exactly how much of what we generate is used by us. What I know is what we generate that we send back to the grid. So then I have to go to the Octopus app. Sorry, I'm looking the wrong way. I have to go to the Octopus app and then I can take what I generated, deduce what I send back to the grid, and then I know how much I've used. It's not the most straightforward thing, but in the end, I don't know if it's that relevant really, because what you want to know is how much you keep using from the grid, and that will generate your bill. We have the solar panel fitted, and then the solar panel installer will send something to, I think it was Western Power, whoever deals with electricity supply chain. So it's not like Octopus, that is our electricity supplier. It's the people who actually manage the network, I think. So these people will then make you a paper with a code. So there's 2 or 3 codes, I can't remember, but you get maybe 2 codes, and you need these 2 codes when then you go to your electricity supplier to register your export. So it's really important that you get that done. So that took about 2 weeks. The first one was quick, but the second one took longer because the person was on annual leave or something like that. And then you have to go to your then electricity company. So for Octopus, on the website, you just apply. It's a quick form, and then they ask you for the 2 different codes. I think it's codes, I can't remember. They ask you for 2 bits of information, ask your installer, and they will tell you. And then I think it took about 3 weeks. So all in all, we had solar panels on the 26th of April. I think it took about a month to start exporting. I'll double check that when I show you the data on the graph. And you'll see in the table, like there's 0, 0, 0 until a certain point, and that's where we started exporting. Then we got 1 payment. So I don't know, they tell you when you set up, kind of. You go onto the app and you can see there's like on Octopus's app, you have the table for how much you use on gas and electricity. And then all of a sudden I had a little export table as well. That's where I knew, okay, we export electricity, brilliant. So that was really cool. And I don't know why, it's that kind of self-sustainable, because we're still using some of their electricity, but knowing that you kind of generating your own stuff is quite nice as well. Again, it's an investment. I'm not saying for everyone. So yeah, we had a first payment in, I think it was middle of June. So I think it was the 14th of June. And I don't know if it just happened to be that if they pay every 14th of June, because it was a bit random. It was about 15 days or something like that. So it wasn't like a specific date. My billing date is the 18th of the month. So I'm not sure if they pay everyone on the 16th of June. I haven't had anything at the end of June. So I'm assuming I get something on the 14th of July. But I'm not quite sure, to be honest with you. It's a bit strange. Anyway, I didn't get much, they didn't communicate much about that. But So anyway, for 2 weeks, we got paid £14. And I was really excited, because if you get paid 30 quid for, I don't know, let's say you get paid 30 quid for May, June, July, August, that maybe it's a bit of a stretch, but I mean, 30 times 4, 120 out of your bill. So not only you save your money, but you get at least 120 quid back for a few months. It's brilliant. And then when you go on holiday, and that I only thought about that a few days ago, you're not here for 2 weeks. Everything you generate is still going to the grid. You're still getting paid for not being at home. How cool is that? I know I get really excited, but it's cool. I think it's cool. So what I do, I'm gonna wait a little bit. Chris is in a meeting. And then when I can later on, I get onto the computer and I will show you the graph, and just to give you an idea of, what we generate. And I managed to get the data back to the 1st of April, so I can show you a little bit how much we used to consume or use electricity-wise to how much we use now. Alright, so I'm on the computer and I put together all the consumption. So I got the electricity generated by the solar panels, or normal consumption from the grid, and how much we export to the grid. So I put all of that into a pivot table, and it looks like that. So it's a bit hard to follow, so I'm gonna unselect. I'm just going to show you our consumption for the grid to start with, because I think it would look a bit better. So that's what we consume from the grid, and I started on the 1st of April, so hopefully you can kind of see that we use, so the cutoff for the solar panel is here, 26th of April, oh no, it's 25th, sorry, 26th of April. You can see that overall here we're pretty much always above the line.
I'm not sure what that 5 kilowatt is. We always use more than 5 anyway. I think, yeah, that's it, sorry. So we are always above 5. The lowest we used to use, 6.7, it's probably a day where we were away and then came back in the evening or something like that. So it's a day where we don't use a lot. That massive peak here is the hot tub. If you guys have a hot tub, it uses a ridiculous amount of electricity. You don't even think about it until you see it and you're like, oh, the horror. So that's definitely the hot tub. And we agreed that we would only get a hot tub once we had the solar panels. I got a hot tub before because I found it secondhand for a good price. But yeah, even with the solar panel, that's a hike, that's a hot tub hike. That was the 10th of June. And I know it's the solar panels because apart from the oven on Christmas Day, we have nothing that uses that much electricity, not even the tumble dryer. And the hot tub is on for hours because it takes ages to heat up anyway. So going back to our consumption pre-solar panels, you can tell that it's above the line every day. Post solar panels, you can see there's a few hikes. And that might be when the kids play Xbox a bit too long and they use the TV, so that we use more electricity. But you can see that overall most days, alright, let's say 70% of the days are below the line. So we can see overall a decrease on our consumption. What started bugging me and the reason why we decided to get the battery. The reason we didn't get the battery straight away is that I talked to some installers. I tried to get 5 quotes, and out of, I think 5 or 6, and out of 6, there was only one installer that was reliable, and that's the one we went for, or we've. The others, like, they'd say they get back to you, and then a week later they'd come back, but they didn't quite remember what you wanted, and that was, we started the process, I think, back in Feb 2022, so that was a bit before everyone started rushing. I think people started rushing on solar panels around April. Well, based on what I hear, but, you know, it's hearsay, I guess. But there was not a lot of reliable people anyway. And the one we picked, I'm really pleased we did because he was very reliable, and I would recommend him if you are in the West Midlands. So that's how much we use, and let's see how much we. So I'm going to show you how much we generate. And it's not going to say much. It's not going to mean much. Hang on. It's on count. Sorry, you have to bear with me. Value field, sum. Okay, you're getting an Excel course at the same time. All the orange is what we generate from our solar panels. So that was the very best day. That's 31.4. I wasn't sure if it was 31 or 29. That's the very best day we had. But there were a few other days that followed, you know, shortly behind. 28.6 kilowatts a day, 29.6. It's a West Midland, people. It's not bad. I mean, you still get a few above the 20 mark. You get some above the 15 mark. You get a few between 10 and 15, really. But we use about 15 kilowatts a day, so I'm not too fussed. And if I take off our consumption, just to show you... so we're still on energy generated by the solar panels. That's the lowest day. So that was the very first day, so we're not going to count that. This one, it was just below 5 kilowatt, and this one as well. So I know it's only like, I'm showing you the best time of the year, so it's the sunniest time of the, we did get a fair bit of rain, to be fair, but this will be the best time of the year. It's not going to be December or November, so it's not like, it's not representative of what the overall year is going to be like. I can't do that because I don't have data for that. But at least I can show you that over this period, over the nice-ish sunny, well, not necessarily sunny, but longer day period, we only had like a handful of really bad days. 4.9 and 4.4 were the absolute lowest. And then you go up to, what was that one? 6.8, 7.4, 8, 8.6. So if you're a family of 2, it's very decent. If you have 2 kids like us, it might be a bit of a stretch. But I mean, I'm assuming up to 10 kilowatts. If you have gas for the heating and the boiler, then it's still decent. So I hope that gives you a bit of an idea. And then finally, something that I think is really important, and that kind of what bothered me, it's how much we export to the grid. versus how much we take from the grid. And that really is what made me want to have the battery so much. So the blue is what we send back to the grid. So you can see that started on the 24th of May. So it took about a month to get it set up from the moment where the solar panels were fitted to the moment where Octopus had processed our application and started taking our electricity. So for that whole month period, you're going to say, where did the electricity go? Well, it still goes back to Octopus. We didn't keep it. But you just don't get paid for it because Octopus doesn't know where it's coming from because you don't have the ID. So they generate the ID and they know it's you, blah, blah, blah. So on that day, for example, 24th of May, we exported, you ready? A whooping 10 kilowatts hour of electricity. And we still managed to use 3 kilowatts from the grid. So this 20.5, so I'm going to do a quick calculation. 20.5 times 7.5p. No, sorry, let's do 7.5p. So we got 1 pound 54. And then we used, what did I say, 3 kilowatt? 3.1 kilowatt time 28p, so 87p. So we sent back 1 pound 54 worth of electricity, but then we had to pay them 87p. And if we had sent back, so sorry, what was I? We sent back 20 and we used 3. So if I send back 17 times 7.5p, I would have made 1 pound 28. So it would have cost me a lot less to just have the battery. And I mean, you still need to pay for the battery. I know that it's an investment as well, but over time, that's where you see your difference. Anyway, I ramble. But I hope it gives you a good idea of, how much we send back versus how much we have to keep taking and why we felt like the battery was worth it for us. And again, it's 10 grand over 10 or 12 years, maybe even 8 years if the electricity keeps going up. So I hope that was helpful. If you have any question, again, this is only for West Midlands, Birmingham. I'm not, if you live somewhere else in England, I don't know, I can't tell. And it is based on this year, and next year might not be as sunny, or it might be rainy more and stuff like that, so I can't tell you that, but I hope it gives you a good overview. If you're looking for an installer, please let me know, because I was really happy with ours. It was great, and I would definitely recommend him. And anything, leave it in the chat. Thanks for watching this quite lengthy video, and have a great day. Bye.